From Dylan Hill.
Question from the chat.
What are your guys' thoughts about max number of fonts to use on a page? I always hear people saying no more than three, but I always find it looks best at two or even just one at different weights. Nick, this sounds like it's right up your alley.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, there's no real sort of definitive way of thinking about it in terms of a hard number of fonts on a page. This page right now, you're looking at three because we have the. I mean, technically, you would look at the logo as two different fonts, and then we have some body copy down there. It really depends on what you're designing. Something that's more sort of information based, like a tool or sort of a service or a CMS or something like that. I typically keep it at one font because why bother? Um, that being said, to say that you can't use more is not necessarily a bad thing. Um, I don't know. When I think about it, I've never seen a layout with like 4 or 5 fonts on it that looks appropriate before. So that's probably a good place to keep it. However, if you're new to typography or if you're new to fonts, I would look at it in title font and then body copy. So your two big ones. I guess that's my advice. I just talked myself in a full circle from saying use all the fonts you want to probably keep it at two.
I think that's good.
I just don't like
I
hard
wish I could.
rules. You know what I mean? Like you can't approach a design being like, okay, we need to get through this, but we're only going to use 2 or 3 fonts. It just might not be the thing that works for what you're doing. But most times, yeah, it's gonna be at 2 or 3.
That's fair. I mean, for someone like me who, is more technical and don't know, that's a really good, those general rules are really helpful. When
Mm-hmm.
you're starting out, of just like, okay, that's a good guideline for me. I can follow it and I won't make a complete fool out of myself. But yeah, like once you kind of become an expert on it, then it's like case by case analysis, I guess. You can kind of like know what looks good and do what you want. Like I can see stuff and think it looks good or bad, but like making it and getting there is tough. So,
Well, and you have to think about sort of the development cycle as well. I mean, adding fonts to a website style or even like an app or something more complicated, that's something that you're going to have to track and manage throughout the the lifespan of the project. So it's certainly important to know. But hey, I don't know, maybe you're doing something really decorative and you want to like get wacky with your fonts. Like if it looks good and feels good and is readable, then you're in a good spot. This is just one font in two different weights. We could do a different body copy. I think this one looks fine.
that's a good way to do it. For me when I'm wireframing or doing something where, I'm not really focusing on the fonts, I'll often just change the weights or like the color even. Maybe
Mhm.
if it's like not if it's kind of like supplementary text, lighten it up a little bit. But that's me. That's how like a simple font simpleton thinks about the world.
Font should be pretty simple. I agree.
Or
When I want to
typeface, as the
when I
purists
want to
say.
get when I feel like my copy is not very interesting, or at least the presentation isn't very interesting, I start at huge every time. It's like, you know, now all of a sudden you're moving from something that was just a piece of copy that was maybe not relevant to you're saying like, this is worth paying attention to, not to use too much fluffy design language. You want to leave users with an impression that this is important information that you're connected to. So okay, huge and light. Huge and light's good. Small and fat is also good.
I like it. This is one big thing? I'm gonna group these bad boys together.
Yeah, those are just two vectors with a stroke on them. So do what you feel. So big and light isn't working. The brand, I mean, just to talk on typography for a minute, the brand here, the Hi There Show brand and our name and your name is very thick. Like the entire presentation is graphically chunky. So this light font looks okay in here. That's fine. But I'm going to darken it up because it's going to sit next to that logo even more. So we have extra bold and we have black, which is always usually the heaviest weight that you're going to have in a font.
To tell you the truth,
And
I'm actually learning a lot.